Hi friends, welcome to the Dreadlock Culture channel. My name is Nadia, and in today's video, we'll be talking about 15 things that I do not recommend you ever put in your locks. But first, if you love locks, then be sure to leave a thumbs up in this video. And if you want a weekly dose of lock content, then be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post a new one. Before I started my lock journey, I never really paid attention to the ingredients of the products that I was putting in my hair. I was using normal shampoo from the store. Occasionally, I would dye my hair with chemical dye, and I would put hairsprays and that kind of products in my hair consistently without really realizing what ingredients were found in those products. But once I started my lock journey, then I became not just more aware, but really mindful of all the ingredients that are found in all types of different hair products. And with the idea that I didn't want buildup, long-lasting buildup in my locks, I started investigating about each of the ingredients that I was reading about in these products. What I came to discover was that most of the products that I was using in the past actually have the potential to cause buildup in locks. So that is one of the reasons why I no longer use them. But another thing that is even more important than that is that a lot of the ingredients in these products are actually toxic for our skin, for our health, and are long-term essentially poisoning us. And so I want you to consider this list in terms of not just ingredients that could potentially cause long-term buildup in your hair, but also ingredients that can be toxic to your health. So with that in mind, let's talk about these 15 things that you should never put in your locks. Now, there's a really good chance that I'm going to butcher a lot of these names because I don't even know that they're English. They are the chemical terms, so bear with me if my pronunciation is awful, but I will write them out so then at least you can see them listed. And at the end, I'll also have a downloadable file for you. So if you want to download it and even take it to the store to kind of compare products, if you ever buy products at the store for your locks, then you can see what is okay and what's not okay. The first one we're going to talk about are petroleum byproducts. Gasoline comes from petroleum. So when you think about any product in your hair that resembles anything that goes into your car or goes into plastics and that kind of thing, why would you want to put it in your hair, right? Well, unfortunately, some gels and waxes and things like that contain it, and they are oftentimes disguised by the names mineral oil, paraffin, white oil, and microcrystalline wax. So if you see those names in a product, that is a petroleum byproduct. Toluene, something like this, is another petrochemical, and it's labeled as benzene, toluol, phenylethylamine, and methylbenzene. And that is a neurotoxin, a skin irritant, and just a terrible thing to put near your head anywhere. Imagine anything that goes into your scalp can easily get absorbed by the skin, and your brain is right there. So anything that's a toxin for your body being that close to your brain, Anyway, number 2 is polyethylene glycol, and the acronym for this one is PEG or PEGs. It is also petroleum-based. It's a known carcinogen, extremely toxic, and sadly enough, it's found in nearly 50% of products that are labeled natural or organic. So in the label, you want to look out for the acronym PEG, followed by a number. The number is going to represent the units of ethylene that are in that product. Number 3 is methyl isothiazolone, something like this. The acronym is MIT, and methylchloroisothiazolone. The acronym for that one is CMIT. This is used as a preservative in hair products, and it's a neurotoxin that is also known for causing allergic reactions. Number 4 is ethanolamine compounds. This is found in shampoos, in hair dyes, in other beauty products. It's known also as a carcinogen and linked to organ toxicity. In the labels, you'll find it stated as diethylamine, and triethanolamine. And probably a few other names, but the acronyms are DEA, TEA, and MEA. So look out for those. Number 5 are parabens, which are synthetic preservatives in cosmetics. So as far as parabens go, the known side effects are skin irritation, contact dermatitis, dysfunction of the immune system, reproductive and developmental disorders. And in labels, you're going to find it under one of the pseudonyms, ethyl, methyl, propyl, isopropyl, butyl, and isobutyl. And sometimes this pseudonym is also followed by the word paraben, but not always. Number 6 are sulfates, and this is used as a cleansing agent. So they're very common in typical shampoos that you find at the store. And the problem with this is that it strips your hair from its natural oils, and it can also cause skin irritation. So in labels, it's most commonly found as sodium lauryl sulfate, which is the acronym SLS, and sodium laureth sulfate with the acronym SLES. So anything that closely resembles those names, or when you see sulfates, make sure that if it's not SLES or SLS, that you're researching exactly what that ingredient is, because you'll see the word sulfates come up in many products. Number 7 is silicone products. And silicone products essentially are a plastic-like substance that will coat the hair and give it a shine. And so what it actually is doing is this product will coat the surface of the hair, and it blocks off any moisture or air coming into it. So not only is it harming your hair long term because it's not able to receive the moisture that it needs, but also it will for sure cause long-term residue in locks. In labels, this ingredient is gonna appear at the end of the word. So for instance, you're gonna see any name end in col, conol, sane, or cone. So an example would be dimethicone. And so because it has that cone, it means that this product has been added to it. Number 8 is phthalates. And this is a fragrance enhancer and a thickening agent for many products. This product is horrible for your hormones, especially causing premature puberty and reproductive problems. It has a risk of higher breast cancer rates, cancer, birth defects, premature births, etc. So you definitely want to keep an eye out for this one. Recently, I read an article that is very informative and kind of disheartening because I love castor oil and I love all things natural. So castor oil is an ingredient I use in my hair and actually in other parts of my health routine. Well, in this article, this company tested 10 different types of castor oils, and 10 out of 10 had phthalates in them. It's a huge bummer because you really have to be careful that even products that say that they're organic or that they're cold pressed or, made in the perfect environments or whatever could even have something like this. So you have to do a lot of research, especially when you're looking at ingredients that can be potentially hazardous to your health. Number 9 are synthetic fragrances. And here in the United States, the FDA does not require that companies make a declaration of all the ingredients that they put into their quote unquote fragrances. And so essentially you actually don't know what ingredients are in them. And that's kind of where a few of these sneaky ingredients could land. So what I recommend is instead of getting something that says fragrance, you want to opt for something that says fragrance free or specifically labeled phthalate free, because again, remember that is a fragrance enhancer. And so they could, potentially put this ingredient in there, or you want to find a product that just says no synthetic fragrances. Number 10 is chemical dyes. If you've been on dreadlockculture.com or have watched any of the previous videos on this channel, then you might have seen that I talk about chemical dyes and how I do not recommend. So there are people who dye their locks all different types of colors or bleach them or whatever. You can do what you want, but the reason I don't recommend it is because, for one, the ingredients are so strong that they will damage your locks long term for sure. It damages loose hair already, but then when it goes into your locks, in order to get all the dye outside of your locks and fully out, I mean, it's not only difficult, but also it could cause the dye to stay in the inner parts of the lock longer than the product is actually meant to be there. So it could burn or damage the hair structures in the internal part of your lock. And then maybe 6 months down the road, maybe less, but could be 6 months or a year down the road, then you have these random points of breakage or thinning spots all over your locks. So as far as the health of your locks go, I don't recommend it. But another thing, now that we're talking about these ingredients, something that you want to keep in mind when it comes to chemical dyes is that chemical dyes usually have coal tar colors, or the colors are derived from coal tar. So the FDA, again, doesn't actually regulate coal tar colors. And toluene is found in bleaching and hair coloring products and is distilled from coal tar. In labels, you will find it as toluene 2,5-diamine with the acronym TD, and toluene 2,5-diamine sulfate with the acronym TDS. In synthetic colors, actually, will be found under the acronym DNC or FDNC, followed by the color and the number. So DNC stands for drugs and cosmetics. FDNC is food, drugs, and cosmetics. Number 11 is short chain alcohols. So you have two types of alcohol, short chain and long chain. Long chain is the better kind, the kind that you will find in drinking alcohol. The short chain is not a good kind, and it's actually used in most products, in cosmetics, as an emulsifier. And so this can cause breakage in your hair, it can cause dryness, frizziness, etc. And in labels, you will find it as isopropyl alcohol, propanol, isopropanol alcohol, propyl alcohol, ethanol, ethyl alcohol, SD alcohol, and SD alcohol 40. Number 12 is dish soap. So dish soap is actually used by some people with locks to cut the grease and to remove buildup in locks. The reason this is a bad ingredient is because dish soap is made for your dishes, not for your hair. And if you look at the ingredients on these products, you're going to find the majority of them are actually toxic for you. So in order to prevent grease and buildup in your locks, you want to be washing with a residue-free shampoo. Recently, I made a long list of a lot of lock shampoos that people within the lock community use, and exactly every ingredient found in each of those, as well as what each ingredient does and how it works on hard water versus soft water. And so I'm going to leave that in the description. So if you haven't yet found a shampoo that works for your locks, or that maybe has some of the ingredients listed in this video, then go ahead and look at that list and maybe look for a new shampoo and try something new out. As far as removing buildup, you should be doing maybe every 6 to 12 months. You can do a lock detox, and that is with baking soda and apple cider vinegar. I will also leave in the description a blog post where I explain exactly how the lock detox works, the ingredients you need, and everything you need to know so that you can get as much buildup out of your locks as possible. Number 13 is cream-based products, balms, and butters. So a lot of these products are not just thick, which means that you can end up with long-term buildup because getting them out of your hair is going to be really difficult. But also a lot of these products contain some of the ingredients that I've been mentioning in this video, so they're toxic for you as well. Number 14 is wax. And here I'm talking about all types of waxes, including beeswax and dreadlock wax. I've seen some dreadlock companies promoting this dread wax to start locks, and some people who have stray hair believe that maybe they need that because their hair is less likely to knot when compared to coilier hair types. But regardless of your hair type, wax is a no. Your hair will lock. Trust me, it's just definitely does not need wax for it to lock. So wax actually is not water soluble, and the melting point of wax is a temperature that our hair would be completely frayed if we use it. And if it got near our scalp, that would give us 3rd-degree burns. So the temperature is beyond what we can handle in order for it to come off our locks. So in other words, if you use wax, buildup is absolutely guaranteed. So that's why you should never use it. And last but not least on this list is rubber bands and tight accessories. So especially in the beginning parts of your lock journey, a lot of locticians will add rubber bands to the roots. And this is to prevent the roots from mingling together in between maintenance sessions. I'm very much against that because I don't think you need to have the rubber bands to keep your locks apart. You can do the same thing by just, running your fingers through your scalp and making sure that the hair isn't coming together. That's a simple thing that you can do every other day or maybe even just once a week. But another thing I don't like about ties is that if they ever break off, say that you're sleeping and between the friction of your head and the bed, one of those ties breaks and you don't really notice. So essentially, that tie could break inside your lock or near the top of your lock, and it could become absorbed by your lock at some point. And so if if it's in a spot where you don't see it and you don't realize, then that goes into your lock. And again, that's another cause of buildup, and you just don't really want to go there. Also, it could be kind of painful to have all these rubber bands in your roots. So I think in general, I don't recommend. And another thing are tight accessories. So when you get locks, of course, so many people want to start putting beads or things in them, and that's okay. You just don't want the very, very tight beads to go around baby locks, especially. Maybe wait either until your locks are mature for that, or if you have a bead somewhere in your lock, then you want to sort of maybe every week or every other week, you want to be moving it around, because if it's stuck in a spot where your locks haven't matured yet, then it can kind of choke that spot, and over time it'll just become a weak spot where maybe that area never fully locked because it didn't have the movement that the rest of your locks did. So in that case, you could just move your bead up and then leave it there for a week maybe, and then move it back down, leave it there for a week, and so on until your locks actually have matured a lot more. So to conclude, these are 15 products that I believe are not good for your locks, either in terms of buildup potential or because they're extremely toxic to your health. And I actually have a list with 18 additional other no lock friendly items. So I will link that in the description if you're interested. I have a blog in total with 33 things that you should never put in your locks. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you have any questions about locks or lock products or anything related to that, then go ahead and leave them for me in the comments. If you like this video, please leave it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet subscribed, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know every time I post a new video. I post videos every weekend, so I will see you in the next one. And up until then, I wish you a wonderful week and keep rocking your locks. Bye.